Welcome, miladies of inestimable value. The most dangerous predator is the one you never see coming. Sigma females aren't the loudest in the room, and they definitely aren't the ones begging for attention. Yet they hold a quiet power that's impossible to ignore and even harder to challenge. Did you know that the deadliest animals on Earth, like octopuses or snakes, are often the ones that operate in silence, striking only when necessary? That's a Sigma female in human form. She's calm, calculated, and utterly unstoppable when she decides to move. If you think she's just another woman navigating life, think again. She's the type who could disarm you with a glance, win a battle you didn't even know you were in, and walk away as if nothing ever happened. And the scariest part? She's probably already figured you out while you're still trying to remember her name. Buckle up, because understanding why Sigma females are the ones you must fear might just make you rethink everything. Number 1. She knows when to be ruthless. A Sigma female's ruthlessness isn't something you see coming. It's like a silent storm that strikes only when the time is right. She doesn't react out of petty anger or impulsive emotions. Instead, she calculates her every move with the precision of someone who knows that revenge isn't about chaos, it's about control. When pushed too far, she becomes a force of nature, but not in the way you'd expect. There's no screaming, no dramatic meltdowns. Her response is quiet, strategic, and undeniably final. What makes her terrifying isn't just what she does, it's how she does it. Her ruthlessness is surgical, removing the problem with no unnecessary mess. If you've betrayed her trust or crossed a line, she won't give you second chances or explanations. She'll simply shut the door, lock it, and throw away the key before you even realize what's happened. It's not about being cruel. It's about self-preservation. To her, keeping toxic influences out of her life is a necessity, not a choice. Her ability to detach is what makes this so chilling. There's no room for regret, no looking back, no softening her stance. She doesn't act out of spite, she acts out of clarity. By the time you've wronged her, she's already analyzed the situation, weighed the pros and cons, and decided you're no longer worth the energy. And when she moves on completely, leaving nothing behind but the lesson she's learned and a path cleared of obstacles. She's not ruthless because she wants to be feared. She's ruthless because she refuses to let anyone or anything disrupt the life she's worked so hard to build. And that makes her not just intimidating, but unstoppable. Number 2, her standards are unforgiving. A Sigma female's standards are as high as they are unshakable, and that's what makes her so formidable. She doesn't just demand the best from others, she expects it from herself first. Whether it's relationships, work, or her personal goals, mediocrity has no place in her world. To some, her standards might seem intimidating or even impossible, but to her, they're non-negotiable. She doesn't raise the bar to be difficult. She raises it because she knows her worth and refuses to settle for anything less. This relentless pursuit of excellence can be unsettling for those around her. People who are used to cutting corners or living comfortably in their excuses often feel exposed in her presence. She doesn't have to call them out directly. Her actions alone make it clear that she's operating on a completely different level. Her refusal to tolerate half-hearted efforts or empty promises creates a ripple effect. She forces those around her to level up or step aside. But what really makes her terrifying is her ability to enforce these standards without compromise. If someone doesn't meet her expectations, she doesn't waste time trying to fix or change them. She simply moves on. There's no anger, no drama, just a quiet dismissal that speaks louder than words. People quickly realize that pleasing her isn't about flashy gestures or superficial charm. It's about showing up consistently with authenticity and effort. Her high standards aren't about arrogance or superiority. They're about self-respect. She's worked too hard, sacrificed too much, and grown too wise to let anything subpar take up space in her life. And the scary part? She doesn't care if people think she's too much. In her mind, they're simply not enough. Number 3, she's a catalyst for transformation. A Sigma female has a way of turning your world upside down without even trying. Just being in her presence can be like holding up a mirror to all the parts of yourself you'd rather not face. She doesn't sugarcoat reality, and she won't pretend to be impressed by mediocrity. Her unshakable authenticity makes her a walking truth serum, whether you're ready for it or not. What's unsettling is that she doesn't set out to change anyone. It just happens naturally. Her high standards and uncompromising attitude act like a filter, forcing those around her to either rise to her level or be left behind. This isn't about her judging others. It's about her very existence demanding accountability. You start to notice where you've been slacking, where you've settled, and where you've avoided growth. And if you're not ready to face those things, her presence can feel like a spotlight shining on all your blind spots. For some, this is inspiring. They see her as a force for growth and use her energy to push themselves further than they thought possible. For others, it's downright terrifying. Being exposed to her raw honesty and relentless drive can feel like too much, especially if they're not ready to confront their own flaws. This fear often turns into resentment or avoidance, as if keeping a safe distance will make the reflection go away. But the truth is, she doesn't care if people fear or admire her. She's not here to fix anyone or coddle egos. Her transformation effect is just a byproduct of her authenticity. You either grow from the encounter or you don't, but either way, she keeps moving forward, unapologetically being herself. Number 4. Her confidence is quiet but unshakable. A Sigma female doesn't need to shout her accomplishments from the rooftops or demand recognition to feel validated. Her confidence comes from a deep well of self-awareness and competence, making it unshakable. She knows exactly who she is, what she's capable of, and what she brings to the table. This quiet assurance makes her stand out in a world that often confuses loudness for strength. What makes her so intimidating is that she doesn't seek approval or permission from anyone. She moves through life with a calm, unyielding determination, letting her results do all the talking. While others may scramble to showcase their wins or fish for compliments, she simply works in silence and lets the impact speak for itself. This kind of confidence unnerves people who are used to bravado and flashy displays of power. It's like trying to fight someone who doesn't flinch. Her silent achievements build a mystique that's hard to ignore. The more she accomplishes, the more people wonder how she does it without breaking a sweat. But here's the thing, it's not that she doesn't work hard, it's that she doesn't broadcast the struggle. Her ability to stay composed, even under pressure, makes her seem almost untouchable, as if nothing can shake her foundation. And when she does succeed, she doesn't gloat or rub it in. Her victories are for herself, not for applause. This makes her power feel all the more real because it isn't tied to external validation. Those who underestimate her often regret it because by the time they realize how capable she is, she's already miles ahead. Her quiet confidence is her armor, and it's a force that leaves a lasting impression on everyone she encounters. Number 5. She thrives in chaos while others crumble under pressure. Number 6. She's silent but never weak. A Sigma female's silence is her greatest weapon. She doesn't need to fill the air with words or announce her every move to feel significant. Instead, she observes, listens, and calculates. While others are busy making noise, she's quietly piecing together strategies that no one sees coming. This level of restraint isn't weakness, it's control. And control is what makes her so dangerous. Her silence keeps people guessing. You never know what she's thinking or planning, and that unpredictability is unnerving. She could be 3 steps ahead, or she could already have the game wrapped up while you're still figuring out the rules. She doesn't waste time explaining herself or justifying her decisions because she knows actions will always speak louder than words. By the time you realize she's made her move, it's already too late. When she does act, her precision is chilling. There's no wasted effort, no over-the-top dramatics, just surgical execution. Whether it's a decision in her career, ending a toxic relationship, or setting boundaries, she does it with a finality that leaves no room for negotiation or recovery. You can't predict her because she doesn't follow anyone's playbook but her own. Her silence is also her way of protecting her power. She knows that revealing too much gives others leverage, and she's not about to hand anyone that advantage. By staying quiet, she keeps control of the narrative, ensuring that no one can twist her words or intentions. This makes her not just a mystery, but a threat to those who rely on manipulation or drama to dominate others. The real danger lies in underestimating her. Weakness doesn't live in her silence. Strength does. And when she finally decides to speak or act, it's a moment you won't forget. Number 7. She'll destroy you without lifting a finger. A Sigma female doesn't need to throw punches or launch verbal attacks to leave a lasting impact. Her power lies in her ability to expose people for who they truly are, without lifting a finger. She doesn't engage in petty battles, or go out of her way to tear someone down. She simply steps back and lets their own insecurities do the work for her. This hands-off approach is what makes her so terrifying. When faced with opposition, she doesn't react in the way most people expect. She doesn't argue, defend herself, or seek revenge. Instead, she watches calmly as others trip over their own weaknesses, insecurities, and bad decisions. Her silence and refusal to engage only amplify the pressure on those who oppose her. People often end up revealing their true colors in their desperate attempts to take her down. What makes this even more unsettling is that she doesn't have to manipulate or provoke anyone. Her presence alone is often enough to set the wheels of self-destruction in motion. Those who try to attack her are essentially fighting shadows, swinging wildly at someone who refuses to play their game. The more they try, the more they expose their own flaws, and by the time they realize what's happening, it's too late to recover. Her mastery lies in understanding human nature. She knows that people are often their own worst enemies, and she uses this to her advantage. She doesn't waste her energy plotting elaborate schemes or retaliating. Instead, she stays true to herself and allows the chaos to unfold naturally. By the end of it, she's untouched, and her opponents are left wondering how they managed to destroy themselves while she barely lifted a finger. Number 8, she's unbothered by power dynamics. A Sigma female operates on her own terms, and power dynamics hold no sway over her. While others obsess over climbing ladders, earning titles, or asserting dominance, she's busy focusing on what truly matters: capability, integrity, and results. To her, authority is only as valuable as the competence behind it. She doesn't respect someone just because they have a higher rank. She respects those who earn it through action and skill. This attitude makes her a disruptor in any environment. She doesn't hesitate to call out incompetence, even if it's coming from someone above her. If a leader fails to lead or an authority figure abuses their power, she's not going to play along. Her confidence isn't about being rebellious for the sake of it. It's about standing firm in her values. She's not afraid to question the status quo when it doesn't make sense, and that kind of fearlessness is rare. What's unnerving about her is that she doesn't crave power in the traditional sense. She's not trying to dethrone anyone or take over the system. She simply exists outside of it, immune to the games that others are so eager to play. This makes her incredibly hard to manipulate because she's not motivated by the usual carrots like recognition, promotions, or validation. You can't control someone who doesn't care about the rules you've created. Her unbothered nature is both liberating and intimidating. People don't know how to handle someone who's immune to the usual tactics of power and persuasion. She doesn't just challenge authority, she redefines what it means to have power in the first place, making her a force that no one sees coming but everyone remembers. Number 9, she values respect over likability. A Sigma female doesn't lose sleep over whether people like her. What truly matters to her is whether they respect her. She doesn't bend herself into a pretzel just to fit in or to meet the approval of others. If that means standing alone or challenging the status quo, so be it. This refusal to compromise her values or adjust to social expectations makes her unnerving to those who rely on popularity and approval for their sense of worth. She doesn't need to be liked to feel validated, she just needs to be respected, and that's a far more powerful currency in her world. What people often fail to understand is that she's not rude, cold, or dismissive. She's simply indifferent to being liked for the sake of it. She values authenticity and directness over small talk or conforming to groupthink. This indifference to societal norms is what gives her an almost untouchable aura. She doesn't care to play the game of popularity because she knows the power lies in the respect that she commands. Those who seek validation from others are often thrown off by her lack of interest in being part of the in crowd, and that's what makes her hard to control. Her strength comes from being unapologetically herself, whether people like it or not. She doesn't care if you approve of her choices, her style, or her opinions. If you respect her, she'll meet you halfway. If you don't, she'll move on without a second thought. This makes her intimidating because, unlike those who crave validation, she's perfectly fine standing in her own truth, not dependent on anyone's opinion. And in a world that thrives on pleasing others, that kind of autonomy is what makes her nearly impossible to box in or manipulate. Number 10. She's the master of psychological warfare. A Sigma female understands something that most people don't. Power isn't about who's the loudest or who can throw the hardest punch. It's about who can control the game from the shadows, using intellect and strategy to dominate. She knows how to read people with unnerving precision, identifying their weaknesses, fears, and insecurities long before they even realize they've exposed them. Once she has that insight, she doesn't need to make a move. She simply lets her understanding work in the background, subtly influencing and maneuvering people without them ever realizing they're being played. Her calm, composed exterior only heightens her psychological prowess. While others may be scrambling, emotionally reacting, or trying to force a solution, she remains steady, almost eerily unbothered. Her silence and collected demeanor make her feel even more intimidating because when she finally makes her move, it's never rushed or clumsy. It's calculated, precise, and disarming. She doesn't have to yell or make a scene to dismantle someone. It's the small, strategic jabs, an offhand comment, a glance, a question, that get under someone's skin and slowly erode their confidence. Over time, her targets find themselves questioning their own decisions, second-guessing their actions, or feeling more vulnerable than they ever did before. By the time they realize what's happening, they're already in too deep to escape without damage. Her ability to orchestrate these quiet, psychological battles without ever showing her hand is what makes her truly dangerous. She doesn't need to fight physically or verbally. Her mind is the weapon, and she's a master at using it to take down anyone who stands in her way. In the end, the Sigma female is a force of nature, unpredictable, unshakable, and impossible to categorize. She operates on her own terms, free from the constraints of social expectations, and wields her power with quiet confidence. Her strength doesn't come from dominance or aggression. It comes from her ability to disrupt, dismantle, and dominate the psychological terrain without ever lifting a finger. Whether she's challenging the status quo, staying several steps ahead, or refusing to bend to societal norms, the Sigma female remains untouchable, untouched, and undeniable. She's not here to fit into anyone's narrative or play by the rules you've set. Instead, she rewrites the game, leaving everyone around her scrambling to catch up. The Sigma female isn't just someone you can admire from a distance. She's someone you fear, not because of what she does, but because of what she makes you confront within yourself. She's the rarest, most formidable type of woman, and if you ever come across one, you'll quickly realize that no one, absolutely no one, has the power to challenge or control her. She's already in a league of her own. If you found yourself captivated by the world of the Sigma female and everything that makes her truly unstoppable, don't miss out on more content like this. Hit that subscribe button and join a community that's all about exploring the extraordinary, the powerful, and the untold. You won't want to miss what's coming next, because when we dive into these topics, we don't just scratch the surface, we go deep. Subscribe now and stay ahead of the game.